Okay, so in today's lesson, we'll be looking at order flow. This lesson will help you to identify valid order flow and be able to mark them. Order flow serves as the first step in identifying POIs in the market, or what we refer to as point of interest. Okay, and this point of interest include OBs, that is order blocks, breaker blocks, IFCs, and so on and so forth. So these are areas we sell or buy in the market. So take notice of that. Now let's look at what order flow is. Okay, before I come to the chart, let's look at some few things. So order flow is the last buying momentum before the sell in a bearish trend, and the last selling momentum before the buy in a bullish trend. So if you remember in one of the lessons, I forgot the lesson number, we did valid and invalid pullbacks. So within valid pullbacks, there are areas we refer to as last buying before momentum before the sell, and the last selling momentum before the buy. And these are areas you'll be marking our order flows from. Now, our order flow will then further be refined into what we call order block, which we'll be treating in the next lesson. That will be lesson 17, which we will be doing today as well, once we finish this lesson. All right. One thing you have to notice, before marking your order flow, you must first know whether market is in a bearish trend or a bullish trend. Okay, it's very important for you to know whether the market is in a bearish trend or a bullish trend. So that is one thing that you need to know. Take notice of that. All right. Now let's look at the rules to identifying a bearish order flow, and also the rules for identifying a bullish order flow. So let's look at that of the bearish order flow first. So when watching the video again, you can write down these rules so that you can follow them when you are marking your order flow. So the first thing that you need to look out for is that you must identify and confirm that your trend is bearish. Then two, you have to identify your valid pullbacks. That is why we learned valid and invalid pullback identification in the market. Rule number 3, identify the last valid buying momentum before the sell in the bearish trend. Okay, now when doing this, we use what we call the candlestick pullback method, which I taught you. So within the structural pullback, we still have what we call the candlestick pullback. So we use that concept along side to mark our valid order flow. All right, so after identifying your valid buying momentum, the next thing you do is to mark out your last buying momentum from the dickstar, from the proximal to the distal of the order flow area. All right. If an order flow is mitigated, you can't use it the second time. So we are only going to use an order flow once. Once it is mitigated, we don't use it again. All right, that's one thing you need to understand. Order flow can only be used once, so we are looking to only use unmitigated order flow. All right, and not mitigated order flow. This same thing applies when we get to order blocks, because order blocks too, we are only looking to use the unmitigated order blocks. All right, note that order blocks are part of the order flow. Okay, they are part of the order flow. But then there is a way we identify valid order blocks. All right. Now, what are the rules for identifying the bullish order flow? The first thing is you have to identify and confirm your bullish trend. Then you identify your valid pullback in the bullish trend. After identifying your valid pullback in the bullish trend, the next thing you do is to identify the last valid sell momentum before the buy using candlestick pullback method, just as I said it in this bearish order flow. After that, mark out your last selling momentum. If your bullish order flow is mitigated, that means there is no need for us to use it again because it's no longer unmitigated. So those are the things you need to understand, okay, whilst we look at all these order flow and order block in the system. All right, so now let's look at how we will identify our order flow on the chart. Once we are done with that, the next thing is for us to look at lesson number 17 on order blocks. All right. So now, as I said, the first thing is that we have to identify our trend. So over here, this is AUD JPY chart. So let's see. So this is bearish movement, this bullish movement. Okay. All right. So over here, we can see that market, this is the, let me see, yeah, this is the last high over here. So it means we begin, let me zoom in. All right, so we begin from here. Okay, remember, it means that we are looking at going down. So we are moving in a bearish trend. So here we are looking out for only bearish order flow. And we are saying that it is always the last buying momentum before the sell. Okay, so we have to use what we call the pullback method. All right, so if this is our last high, before this high was created, this inducement was taken, okay, to confirm this high, because this is a valid pullback. Okay, there is another valid pullback here. So this is our inducement. Yeah. So I'm coming. Let me delete this. Okay, so our inducement here. Okay, IDM. Or you can just represent it as X. Okay, because inducement is also liquidity. All right. Okay. Now, if we want to start from here to look for the previous lowest point, okay, if you want to look for the low, okay, looking at here, I think the bearish trend started somewhere here. Okay, it started somewhere here. So let's I think this was the last low confirmed by this IDM. We are in a bearish trend. That is why I changed this, because if in bearish trend, I will only have an IDM to confirm our new low that is created in the market. Okay. So over here, we have our low. Then this high is confirmed when we took out this low over here. Okay, candle body close below over here to confirm our break of structure. And then we continue the downtrend. That was when this high was confirmed. All right, so one thing I didn't talk about is you will begin to look for order flow when there is a break of structure or change of character. Then we begin to look for order flow. Same applies with order blocks also. All right, so now we said the order flow is the last buying momentum before the sell move. So we will begin from the top here, because within this single move, okay, this single leg move, we have what we call the candlestick structure. All right, so here this is not a valid pullback because this candle didn't take the high. Here also we don't have any valid because this guy is still in the shadow here. Okay, now this guy is having an equal low with this green candle, and then this guy same way equal low. So this green candle took the high of these guys. So this is our last buying momentum before this drop. So you just mark this area here as your order flow. This is not supply or demand zone. This is just order flow. Okay. All right. Now we break below this order flow, then we mitigated this order flow before going down. Now after this mitigation, we went down. This was a valid pullback into the order flow. because it took the high of this guy. So that is our new order flow. So from the bottom here to the top, then it has been broken. This order flow has been broken, but has not been mitigated yet. So we expect price to mitigate this order flow when it next visits this area. So this is an unmitigated order flow that we can look at the next time price returns to this area. Now, when we get here, this is not a valid because this candle is still within the shadow. It didn't break the high, and the low of this main candle is still protected, so we don't have an order block there. An order flow there. Then over here, this guy, its high has been taken, so that is a valid pullback. So this is the low to the high. That is the order flow. But then immediately we have a new pullback within this. Okay, within this pullback, we still have another pullback down, and then taking the high of this guy. So our main order flow is this, from this red. Now, in marking order flow, candle color is not significant. Okay, so this is the order flow over here. Now, as you can see, this order flow was what? Was broken and then mitigated by this move. And this move also is another valid order flow, because this is a valid pullback here, and it is the last buying momentum before this sell that took this low. So we mark from the low here to the highest point here and extend it. So now over here you can see this guy is mitigated. This first order flow is bearish order flow is mitigated. The second one is not mitigated because here price has not entered into this order flow. When we look at the third one, it has also been mitigated by this guy. All right. The fourth one, which is this, after the break, has also been mitigated by this move. All right, because this guy has taken out the high of this main candle here. All right, so over here within this particular area, we still have this order flow to deal with from this point to this point. Now let's see. Price broke this order flow here. This is the lowest point. Price broke this order flow here, and then we have price tapping just okay. It didn't even tap exactly into it. So this order flow here is also unmitigated. This is mitigated, this is mitigated, but this is not mitigated. So we have this unmitigated area of order flow. Okay, all right, let's move on. So over here we see price break. We have a valid pullback after price take the high of the main candle here to give us this move up, but that is not the last buying momentum. The last buying momentum is from this valid pullback here. So this is our last buying momentum. So that is our order flow, and we can see this order flow, and we can see this order flow here being tested as market came back. It was even tested once, twice, and this is the third time before market moved down. Market always moves in steps, in orders, and how it flows is bearish. That is why we call it the bearish order flow in this bearish trend. And this is how it is identified and determined. Okay, so here, these are first buy momentum, second buy momentum, because this taken out over here by this guy. So this is a valid pullback, this is a valid pullback, but these are not the last buying momentums. So if we come here, we can see this guy over here took the high of this guy. So this move here is the last buying momentum before this sell, which means that becomes our new order flow. So we mark from the low here to now. One thing you have to understand, we don't trade the order flow. We use the order flow to refine into order blocks before trading. Okay, so we refine order flow into order blocks, breaker blocks, and so on, IFCs, before making an entry. And we'll be looking at entries as we move on. All right. So now, this order flow, the low here was taken out over here. So we now push down. Market didn't come to mitigate this order flow yet. And this is not over here like this. This guy here didn't take the high. So we don't have a valid pullback. But here we have a valid pullback because this red candle over here, its high has been breached by this green guy over here. So this is a valid pullback. So this is our new order flow. This is our new order flow, bearish order flow. So over here, this is also an unmitigated, this one like this, until price came back into it over here. All right, so we'll be looking at that and the other blocks. Okay, so here too we can see after the push, market came back into this order flow, mitigate it and push down. So it took the low over here, took this low, but this is not a BOS. Remember, you use structural marking to find your BOS, chalk and co. Right now, we are not looking at those things. We are just looking at how we'll be able to identify valid order flow. All right. So now this is our last buying momentum because this is a valid pullback over here. And then also we have another, okay, so this over here is not a value because this is still within the shadow of this guy. I'm coming, let me see if the lows are equal. If they are not equal, yeah, they are not equal. The main candle's low is lower than all these guys. So this over here is not a valid pullback per our pullback principle that we looked at earlier. All right. So yeah, sorry, I've forgotten the valid order flow here. We didn't mark it. So from this low here to the high. So this is also not mitigated yet. But remember, it's not all order flows that we will be trading. As we move on, we will be looking at refining order flow into order blocks. We will not even mean to mark out the order flow. Okay, we can just use our eyes to locate them. Then we use the order block criteria, marking criteria to identify the order blocks, the valid order blocks within the order flow. Okay, all right. So this our order flow. There is no order flow here, so we move. Price push down. Here also we don't have any valid pullback. Price push down over here, but this is not the last buying momentum. Price push further up, and we can see within this move we have this like an upward move. So price taking the low here, we have a valid pullback before the last buying momentum, and then price taking this low. So over here, so this is our last valid order flow. This is our last valid order flow. You mark from the low to the high, then you extend. You can see price break below the order flow. Then we have this push up. This is a valid pullback. We push down. So though this is an order flow, this is not a proper order flow. If price was to push a little bit further down, we would have gone with this order flow also. Okay, so now we can see price changing. Let me zoom out and look at the chart proper. Okay, so we confirm IDM over here to confirm a new low after the break of structure per what we learned. So this means this is our previous lower high. Then let me see if this inducement was not taken. So after breaking this low, we didn't take out this. So I'm trying to find out our recent lower high to know where the change of character has occurred. So here, let me see. Okay. So this move here is a valid pullback. All right. And price took out this low over here. That means this is the highest point. Price took out inducement over here. So we confirm our low. That means this was the last lower high before we created this new low over here. I mean, this point here was our last lower high before we created this lower low over here. So now, if price breaks above this guy, it means we have changed character to bullish momentum. Then now it means we have to begin to mark order flow for a bullish trend. Okay, but if price doesn't take this high, then that means we cannot mark that area as change of character, and therefore we cannot look for bullish order flow. Okay, if we do that, it means we will be doing what we call a bullish. We'll be entering into what we call a bullish trap. All right, we'll be entering into a bullish trap. All right, let's see. So over here we can see price finally broke this high and closed candle body above it. So now we can begin to look for buying opportunities by locating areas of bullish order flow. So this is a change of character. So we can begin to look for areas of bullish order flow. Now, once we have this, we come down and start from the extreme to look for our, so let me zoom in back so we can have a proper look at the chart. So over here we can see price. We have this, then this pullback. So in a bullish this thing movement, we said our order flow is based on the last selling momentum, the last selling momentum. So here, let's see, this is our last selling momentum before this bullish move. Okay, so this is our bearish order flow over here. This is our first extreme bearish order flow. Okay, so unmitigated, we move, we can see that this main candle flow has been taken out here by this guy. Then we have this move up, but within, so this like internal move. So after this guy took this low, this guy took its high, but this red didn't take the low of the green, but has an equal high with the green. I don't know if you guys are able to see that. So let me zoom in. Over here, these two guys are having equal highs. So if this guy happens to take the low of that, then it will give us a valid pullback, but that didn't happen. Let's see, this guy weak above all of them here. So this guy taking the low of this gives us a valid pullback within this internal structure. So this become our valid order flow. So we mark from the high to the low, and then we extend. Okay, so this is our new order, bullish order flow before price going above. So now let's look for, let me push this back. Let's look for our new bullish order flow. So here this guy couldn't take the low of this guy. Remember, candle color doesn't matter that much. All right, so this is not a valid pullback. So there's no valid pullbacks over here. Same apply over here, and then over here as well. So this entire move is a valid pullback down to this end. So this is the last selling momentum before this buy. Okay, the last selling momentum before this buy. So that becomes our bullish order flow. This so price broke above it, came back and still broke to the opposite side. So here price is ranging, this mitigated, then we continue to sell. So this order flow here becomes invalid once it gets broken to the upside, to the downside, because we are in a bullish move. So we look for our next order flow. We look for our next order flow. So this is the lowest point before the move. So we look at this. This is a valid pullback. Remember, this is a minor downtrend. So this is our last buying momentum. Then we have our sell momentum before the buying continues. So this is our last sell momentum. So this becomes our valid order flow. And as you can see, price taps in and we continue going up. So let's see. Over here, today is a valid pullback. So this becomes our new order flow. These are internal moves that are found within this particular move. Okay, so we mark from here to here, and it continues. You can see price mitigates this order flow and continue. Here also, this is our last selling momentum. Then we have this move up, came back to mitigate it. It's very small over here. This is our last selling momentum over here, from here, from here. See, price broke above, tap back into it, and we have the move down. The move up. Then we can see another valid pullback over here. So this is the last selling momentum, and we are looking to. So if price breaks here, this will become a valid order flow. Okay, bullish order flow. So that is how we identify our bullish and bearish order flow. Please, any question before I go to the order blocks, which will be our next lesson? Please, all these things, to be conversant, you need to practice every day. If you have forgotten the things we learned in the previous lessons, getting these ones becomes difficult for you. So please try and sit up and master those things that we learned in the previous lessons. Please, any question? If you have any question, you can raise your hand and ask your question. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. If not, then I'll end this lesson and then we continue with the next lesson, which will be lesson 17.